And so, Kirk, a 474-yard night for Harrell, and Crabtree with 127 of those yards. And, of course, the game winner that will certainly not be forgotten all this season.
And I love the comment there from Graham Harrell when Lisa asked him, minute 29 to go, the momentum has shifted to Colt McCoy. You're down one. What are you thinking? And without blinking, he says, we're going to win the game. You gave us too much time. We're going to win again. That's when you think about great quarterbacks over the years. The Doug Flutie play that you called against Miami. Great quarterbacks always think there's enough time to win the game. And I love to hear that from Graham Harrell. It sums up his attitude.
Now, we talk about the new #1, and Alabama certainly is in position to ascend, but we can't look past the impressive day that Oklahoma and Florida turned in. Of course, Penn State now is idle. They could still rise to #2. So November is well underway, folks. That's when chaos hits.
Well, it's going to become this is where it gets nasty. This is where people start to debate who should be there. More than likely, I think you're going to see Alabama go up to #1. They had a good showing today. They've been consistent most of this year. Penn State will move to #2. But all these one-loss teams are going to say, we deserve to be there. We've got 4 or 5 weeks left to those fun arguments.
Yeah, we're going to go down below to Chris Fowler. And Chris, your partner, Lee Corso, he was right on the money when he predicted a Texas Tech upset today.
Yeah, just like he envisioned, a touchdown with 1 second to go, Brent. Welcome to the sea of black and red. Those guys up there are talking about the big picture. We'll get to that in just a second. Certainly the fan base in Lubbock believes their team should be #1, but they're just beginning their gauntlet. They got the Cowboys here next week, and, of course, the game with the Sooners down the line. Let's start with the game-winning play, Lee, because that touchdown unfolded right in front of us in that corner. And as Harrell let the ball go, you never thought it would get there in time before the DB could break it up, but that's the arm strength that he has.
You know, Chris, that play they practiced all the time. It's called a back shoulder. The guy runs them to 1-for-1 on coverage, and then he throws it back to his back shoulder. And when he does, now watch, he'll throw the ball back to his right shoulder, right there. And boom, Crabtree makes the play and it goes right in. That was a sensational play. That single play right there was by Harold. Throw the ball perfect, and let me tell you something. They practiced that play 100 times, and it worked perfect.
And it was a play that Curtis Brown, the DB for Texas, will never forget. Yes. Couldn't get there, and then couldn't get a hold of Crabtree, prevent him from getting in the end zone. Ironically, the two guys who have joked about being dueling Heisman contenders, the fake commercials going back and forth, hook up on what certainly is the biggest play in the history of Texas Tech football, and really an ending to this game in this day that was almost seemed scripted out of a movie.
Well, as McCoy comes back, he's going to win the game and win the Heisman. Ha ha! No, 1 minute and 26 seconds. Lots of time. Boom! Touchdown. Harold now has got to be the #1 guy in the Heisman.
Well, let me ask you about that last couple minutes, because Texas went down the field and scored the impressive 80-yard touchdown drive, but it almost looked at the end that Texas Tech, either they were wearing down dramatically or they decided with just one timeout, let Texas score, have some time. Do you think that was going through their minds?
No, absolutely not. They were trying to win.
If not, it should have been.
Yeah, it should have been. But let me tell you something about that. The offense that Texas Tech runs at the end of the game, they do it all the time. I mean, that's their regular offense. They didn't even figure like...
Yeah, but if Texas takes another 30 seconds, 45 seconds to score,
I know.
Harold doesn't have time to do what he did there.
But if they don't score, then all of a sudden, no, it's, I'm telling you one thing, was this a great college football game, and two competitive quarterbacks in McCoy and Harold, they showed why they're 1 and 2 in the Heisman.
So you say Harold, not Crabtree, is the leading Heisman contender?
No, Crabtree is the Bolitnikoff.
Okay, well, he had that already. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Let's talk big picture. Brent and Kirk were debating what might happen in the polls here. Now, these folks will say, wait a minute, we beat #1. When Texas beat #1 Oklahoma, they jumped from 5 up to #1. Why can't Texas Tech jump over other teams?
I think they can jump 4 spots. If they jump 4 spots, they go from #7 to #3. Alabama doesn't deserve any reason to be not #1. They're 1. Penn State beat Ohio State. Ohio State only lost 3 games in 7 years in that stadium. So it's Alabama, Penn State, and then Texas Tech.
Well, Texas was completing their big 4-game gauntlet against top 12 teams. Oklahoma State is next for the Red Raiders. They're just beginning their gauntlet. So now they have to answer the bell and the challenge that Texas did and come right back here to the stadium a week from now to take on a very good Cowboys team.
And don't be surprised if Oklahoma State doesn't beat them. Because after this euphoria, everybody's going to tell Tech how wonderful you are. And Oklahoma State's coming in there and go, pooh, watch it. Perfect spot for an upset next week.
The upsets are going to continue.
Yeah, upset special.
Well, it is November 1st. November is crazy season in college football. We saw it last season. And what a start to November of 2008 as #1 comes here, gets within 1 second of completing the gauntlet, but comes up short. And Texas Tech wins a thriller, 39-33, 474 from Graham Harrell. Back upstairs to Brenton Kirk.
All right, Chris, and folks, you might want to circle one date, November 22nd. This team, Texas Tech, goes to Norman, Oklahoma, to play the Sooners. That is one of the big games left on the calendar. I know next week in Oklahoma State is good.
I was going to say, I really believe, based on what I've seen from Oklahoma State, I think they're throwing their hat into the ring saying, hey, maybe we're the best team in the Big 12. I mean, they are a good football team, physical on both sides, but you're right, by the end of the day, you know the folks in Norman are saying, don't count us out just yet. Right. And Texas Tech at the very beginning said, this year we can beat Texas and we can beat Oklahoma. Now they've done one. They've got 2 more big games coming.
Let's go to Colt McCoy's press conference now.
Yeah, their offense can score points. They're a good football team. You know, we missed out on a lot of opportunities in the first half, and you know that hurt us.
Greg, how much did not having Quan after his injury affect the chemistry and the rhythm of the offense and the play calling?
Well, obviously Quan's a senior that's been out there a bunch of times, and he's a guy that knows the spots to get open. But I thought that Malcolm Williams stepped in and did a heck of a job. Injuries are just a part of it. I mean, we expect the other guys to come in and pick up the slack.
Greg, what did you want to establish from the beginning? What was the game plan coming in?
Well, we felt like that because they were predominantly a zone match team that we could get some rhythm going in a short passing game. We didn't get that done early. We finally got it going, like I said, late in the halftime, and then we were able to create some rhythm in the second half, but not enough.
Cole, were they doing anything to cover up Shipley early on in the game toward the end?
Yeah, they did a nice job of putting their hands on them past 5 yards. You know, they were covering the flats, our deep out routes good. So they did a good job of putting hands on them. They had a good scheme.
Will, can you talk about the Tech offensive line? This seems like the first game where you weren't really able to get pressure right away.
Well, they did a good job. More than anything, he did a good job of buying time in the pocket and really evaded to his to his right a lot, and we had a hard time getting to him. We changed some things in the second half as far as getting our left end up the field, and we changed a rush pattern that we did, so we did a little better in the second half. So when we got middle field covers, they went to Crabtree, and that was a tough thing in the first part of the game. That's why they converted some third downs, and so we played some split safety, rushed 4 guys, and felt good about getting pushed in the pocket for the most part. He does a good job of evading the pressure. Was something we felt like going in the game was something that, one of the better things he did. Did a good job tonight.
Well, it looked like we couldn't quite see it from our vantage point, but it looked like you all had Crabtree in that last play. Is that?
Well, the kid made a great throw and he made a great catch. We had him doubled and he made the play.
Who else was over there besides Curtis? I didn't see that.
That doesn't matter.
Ryan, when you talk about there's so many relative shifts in the Brian Rockford comes out, what does that mean for you guys?
Definitely, Reg, he's so influential on our defense, but guys got to step up, and we'll look at film tomorrow and see what happened.
Cole, were you bleeding from the nose or from the mouth anytime you were in the game?
Yeah, I got busted in the face a couple times. They did a good job of putting pressure. Something in my mouth started bleeding real bad, but that's nothing. Busted my lip.
You did break the career record on that 91-yard pass. Does it matter in a game like this?
No, all that matters is a win. We're disappointed, but we're going to keep our heads up and keep fighting. We have a lot of football left to play.
Last question for this: what's the toughest ground to be available? I mean, you seem visibly upset. We've never seen you this upset. What's so tough? What's the toughest thing about this besides this?
It's when you lose, it's tough, and that's a hard thing to deal with. But this team is awesome. This team fought. We didn't play good, but we fought to the end. You can't argue with that. And like I said, we're going to keep our heads up and keep fighting because there's a lot of football left to play, and we've got to move on. Got to put this behind us.
Thanks, guys.
Well, a lot of youngsters can learn from that. When you lose with class, and there's always another game. And for Texas, it's next week, but no longer one of the unbeatens. They'll fall from that #1 spot after this loss here against Red Raiders. Before we leave, there is someone on the Red Raider team that I don't want you all to forget. His name is Jamar Wall. And when he took that kickoff deep in the end zone and came out by the 40-yard line, he gave this team a huge lift as time was running down. You know, there are so many little things in the game you look back on.
Yeah, and the big return was enormous. I think it gave Harrell some confidence, but I think if you're Texas, you're probably going to go back to that play a play or two before the game-winning touchdown, and your young freshman safety had an opportunity to have the interception that would have secured the win, and you somehow survive. He didn't make the play. Graham Harrell did, and also Michael Crabtree did. Can I come up with a new rule?
Sure.
I think we need 4 teams from the Big 12 to go to the BCS. How are we only going to get 2? Well, I want 4. That's not fair. We need 4.
We'll take it up at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to these guys.
Well, record crowd on hand here tonight in Lubbock, Texas. They stormed the field 3 times, and on the 3rd time, they were allowed to stay, celebrating the biggest win in the history of Texas Tech Red Raider football. What a night, guys, here in Lubbock.
You know, you say act like you've been there before. Well, Texas Tech football fans had not, because the Red Raiders, it was their first win ever against an AP top-ranked team. They were 0-7 before this win over Mac Brown's #1 Longhorns. 9-0 start. That's their best since 1938. You try and go 10-0 at Oklahoma State game. You already wish it was next Saturday just so you could watch some more of this. 500th win in program history. Well, Mike Leach he'll be interesting to hear his comments. Perhaps we'll hear from him or read about him. Man, what a ball game. Oklahoma State has lost 7 straight in Lubbock, but it's currently ranked 9th in the country. Texas Tech goes to Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is, I mean, they just put it on Nebraska so quick, so fast. And then they got Baylor, and Baylor gave Missouri all Missouri could handle today. That's what's up for the Red Raiders.
Here it is, your BCS standings. Here's what happened today. #2, Alabama. We expect them to be #1. Here's where it gets tricky. Texas Tech looks so good in beating Texas. Penn State with the bye. Will it be Penn State 2, Texas Tech 3 going over Georgia? They will, of course. But can Texas Tech leapfrog the storied programs of USC and Oklahoma? That's what you got to wonder. Will the voters give them the respect?
A game and a play for the ages here in Lubbock, Texas. Graham Harrell joins us. He connects with Michael Crabtree for the winning touchdown with 1 second to play. Tell us about that final play. I wasn't sure. We were both right there. The ball was going to get there in time before the DB turned and saw it.
You know, it's just the 4 verticals. We run 4 verticals all the time, and the DB wasn't looking at me. And if he's not looking, coach says throw it behind him. So we threw it behind him, and Crab made a play. He's an unbelievable receiver, as you can see right there. They can't tackle him. He's the best in the country. There's no doubt. He's the best receiver in the country. He made a play on the ball. We got a big win.
Graham, tell us, what's the name of that play, and how many times have you – people think, well, they just threw it over there. How many times have you practiced that play?
The name of that play is 6. It's the 4 verticals, but we call it 6 when we want to score. And we throwing it behind, we practice that probably, 10 times a day at least. There's no telling how many times we've run that play, throw it behind on Crab's back shoulder.
Yeah.
And he has such great body control. He's one of the best in the country at making that catch. And but that's not something you just throw up. That's something that we practice all the time.
Exactly.
And Crab made a play on it, and that was big.
Yeah, Graham, so many twists and turns in this game. You guys are up 22-3. They rally back. What are you thinking when Texas is moving down the field to take the lead? About 2 minutes, minute and a half to play. Are you thinking let them score so we can have some time?
Well, the defense played unbelievable all night. There's no question about that. They kept us in the game when the offense was struggling. But when they got down there on the goal line, I was thinking, man, let them score with a little bit of time so we have a chance to go score again. So we knew all we needed was a field goal. A minute 29 is plenty of time to get in field goal range. And Crab made a play and got us a touchdown instead, and it was a great game.
Now, I said in the show before, the difference between this Texas Tech team now is the ability to run the football. That offensive line did a great job tonight, didn't they?
You're exactly right. And when we run the ball, we're tough to beat, and that's the difference between this team and teams of the past. We can run the ball very effectively, and that offensive line did a great job all night. They're the best in the country. You see those guys are huge. They pass protect better than anybody. They run block well, and they're the key to this offense.
You know, and Crabtree gets the ink, but you got guys like Detron Lewis and Edward Britton. Your receivers are also very strong. Now, what did Mike Leach tell you guys in the locker room after this game? It's the biggest win in program history, Graham, but you got the Cowboys coming in here, you got the Sooners. A lot of football still left. What did he tell you?
There's no question. He said, enjoy this one tonight, but, you know, if you go lose tomorrow, next week, this one means nothing. So when we come up there tomorrow, put this one behind you and get ready to play Oklahoma State, because they're a great team. They play these guys to, what, a 4-point game?
Can you maintain this level?
What's that?
Can you maintain this level?
We hope so. You know, it's tough, but the fans did a great job tonight. You know, when the fans are that excited, it's hard not to be excited. So, you know, if the fans can stay that excited, we can stay on this level, hopefully, and just hopefully continue to improve.
Should you guys be number one? Should you be number one right now?
I guess that's for the polls to
decide.
Well,
the polls will decide. There will be a new number one. There may be a new front runner for the Heisman Trophy. Graham Harrell, 474 yards in the game-winning touchdown with 1 second to go. Thanks for joining us here. A wild night in Lubbock, Texas.
Harrell the hero. Here's why. 8 seconds left. The play he called 6. He figured Mike Leach, let's go for one more play, kick a field goal. Instead, they end up getting the call of the day and the win.
Got the big man. Crabtree pulls free and touchdown. Red Raiders with a second to go.
Call of the day.
They say they remember November, and now that that month is here, what a way to finish all across the country. Glad to have you with us. College football final. Reese Davis alongside my Hall of Fame running mates, Lou Holtz, Mark May. The chaos started November last year, May Day, and we're off to the same start this time around.
And if a day like this in college football doesn't get you fired up, your pilot light's got to be out.
Is your pilot light pumping?
We didn't have enough TV sets. There were so many great games. It was incredible.
All you need is one TV set for #1 Texas against Texas Tech. Remember, last year, top 2 teams in the BCS starting in November, 3 and 7. Heisman showdown, Colt McCoy, Graham Harrell, Chris Ogbonnaya tackled in the end zone for a safety. 2-0 Red Raiders jump on top. The ensuing Tech position. How about Matt Williams? They pulled him out of the stands. He boots a 29-yarder.
Not only did he boot it right through.
5-0 Texas Tech up. Colt McCoy plagued by drops in the first half. The normally sure-handed Jordan Shipley.
And this is a sure touchdown if he just catches the football.
5 drops in the first half for Texas. Harrell, meanwhile, right on it. Edward Britton gets him out of a hole on a 3rd and 8, 46 yards. Harrell was 20 of 26 on passes that traveled more than 5 yards. Baron Batch pays it off. Tech outgains Texas 182-8 in the first quarter. It's 12-0. Harrell looking for the elf. The elf! Eric Morris! How did he get so open, Coach? What happens here?
Well, he just has great quickness and great moves. Watch the move he gives here. He has a guy looking to the inside. He's just going to give him a good head fake inside, right to the outside, and he has speed to separate. That's the thing. He can separate because he's so quick.
Tech went up 19-0. They led 22-6 at the half, third quarter. Colt McCoy trying to get something going. Instead, he got drilled, Mayday.
And Colt McCoy was knocked around in this game left and right all through the game. And what a tough competitor to stay in the game as he did.
Remember how Jordan Shipley got Texas going against Oklahoma with a kickoff return? How about a punt return this time? 45 yards, touchdown, put the flag down for a block in the back, but picked it up.
Block in the back, picked it up.
And then a Texas mistake. McCoy picked off by Daniel Charbonnet, pick 6, and it's 29-13 Tech, Mark.
And what a great job by Charbonnet reading Colt McCoy's eyes. But that guy in the sidelines, I have no idea what he's doing.
He's ringing the bell because he's happy that Texas Tech scored. Meanwhile, Williams has his field goal attempt blocked by Henry Melton, and Texas trailing by 10. They get it back.
The 8th kick they've had blocked this year.
And on the very next play, after a penalty, McCoy up top, Malcolm Williams.
And a terrific job by Colt McCoy seeing the wide open Malcolm Williams. But right now, you can see the momentum's coming back to Texas. He's going to finish the play 91 yards for the score for the long run.
And a complete bust by the corner on the coverage. Williams, 4 catches, $182. It's a 3-point game. Harrell trying to answer. 1st and goal. Oh, Harrell pressured Detron Lewis. Lewis had a nice night, 5 catches, but couldn't hold that one. Now on 3rd and goal, backed up. Harrell. Oh, that should have been picked off. That's foreshadowing. That'll happen again. Earl Thomas couldn't hold it. Brings up a 4th and goal. Leach brings on Donnie Corona rather than Williams. A little bit longer field goal, 42 yards out. The guy who lost his job to the kid who won it after booting one in a kicking contest for rent that he had to turn down, and Corona comes through with a big one, 32-26. Ensuing Texas possession, Fozzie Whitaker showing speed.
Nice job right up the middle. Great blocking at the point of attack, but with that young freshman, he's got the quicks. Just hand him the ball and let him go wild.
And Vondrell McGee.
In the fourth quarter, they started running this little counter, pulled the guard and the tackle, and that made the difference.
A Heisman-winning type drive from McCoy. Texas takes the lead, 33-32. Under 30 seconds to go. McCoy not wanting to watch. Harrell. Britton. First down. They still have one timeout left, but the clock keeps going. Tick, 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 tick. 15, 14. Harrell pressured, throwing. Should have been picked off, but the freshman Blake Gideon couldn't hold it. Went right through the wicket. So on the next play, there's only 8 seconds left. Field goal wins it now. All you need is the field goal. As you see Gideon, he's going to have nightmares about that one forever. 8 seconds. If you complete one, it's got to be quick, and you got to get out of bounds. Michael Crabtree, get out of bounds. Michael Crabtree, get into the end zone. Michael Crabtree, guns up. McCoy in disbelief. You want to talk about guts, Mark. Look at Crabtree.
That's why he's the best wide receiver in college football. He knows how to finish plays. He's so big and physical. Huge play for Texas Tech.
They're bringing down those goalposts so the fans don't tear them down. They have penalties because the fans storm the field. Have you ever seen anybody kick off from the 7.5-yard line, Coach?
No, I haven't. But this is a crazy game.
Texas' last chance. They've got to try the Trinity Millsap play on the day when those two played again, by the way, in the state of Texas. But Tech will have none of it. Texas Tech, the biggest game in school history, and they get it done. Beating number one in unbelievable, dramatic fashion, 39-33. The Red Raiders remain undefeated behind a spectacular night from Harrell. 36 of 53, 474. Crabtree, 10 grabs, $127. And the Red Raiders knock off the Longhorns by 6. Lisa Salters was in the chaos in Lubbock.
Take me through that touchdown play, the game-winning play. What happened?
They try to man up Crab. There's not anyone in the country that can man up Crab. And I saw, the guy wasn't looking. I threw it behind him where he didn't see the ball. Crab makes a play. He's the best in the country. There's no doubt about it.
What were you thinking when you looked up 129 left to go and you guys are down?
We're going to win the game. You know what I mean? You left us too much time. With this offense, we know we can score in a hurry. Minute 29 is way too much time for us, and I believe.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Michael, same question. Describe that touchdown for me.
I can't hear you.
Describe that touchdown for me.
Oh, man. I don't want to say nothing, but I dreamed that the same way. It's crazy.
No, you did.
I dreamed in my head. I said, but you know how you do it every play you dream? But it really happened. So, I mean, it was great, man.
And when you looked up on the clock and saw 129 left and you were down, what were you thinking?
I was thinking we got to do our job. We got to go out there and score. If not get in field goal range, so we get Matt to kick it. But, I mean, I guess I took it in.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations.
The first time ever that the Red Raiders have beaten a number-one team. Crabtree, the Bolitnikoff winner last year, probably will be again this year. Well, let me tell you, they didn't use that timeout. No. 8 seconds. What did it take? What kind of awareness to not just step out of bounds and try to preserve the field goal attempt? He's tackled, it's over.
Well, it was a smart play by Michael Crabtree, and knowing Mike Leach, he didn't want to go for the field goal anyway. You knew at this play, at this point of the game, Michael Crabtree in the back of his mind knew when he caught the ball, it's either out of bounds or you've got to score, because if he gets tackled, the game is over. He's such a big physical specimen. He was determined he would not be denied, and you cannot arm tackle Michael Crabtree because he's so physical at the point of attack. But here, he knew right there, that spin, he saw the end zone, he was going to go in and take it for a score. In the back of his mind, he was not going to be denied. He said he pictured this when he was dreaming. When you're a football player, you sit in your room and you picture plays in the back of your mind, how you're going to execute them the next day. That's exactly what he did, and it came true.
Well, I was surprised they went that deep, but when you look at the replay as often as we have, He had no other option. He had one short guy breaking out, which they would probably like to hit for a first down, called timeout, tried to field goal with it, but it was no there. So you throw it up there, and their receivers have been outstanding all year. The running back, Woods and Batch, have been outstanding. But Crabtree, for the 12th straight game, he's had at least 5 catches and 1 touchdown. He went up there and got it. And if I was a quarterback, I didn't have anybody open, I'd throw it to Crabtree also.
Yeah, even if he's not open.
Even if he ain't open.
Get it to him. But, you know, when they go back and watch the tape, when the Texas secondary looks at it, first, Curtis Brown's going to be frustrated he didn't make the tackle. Earl Thomas, who came across there inside, if he comes the other side and hits Crabtree, he might be able to end the game. That's all woulda, shoulda, coulda. And Texas Tech, great victory. But Texas had some things that they'll want to clean up when they look at this, Mark.
And just poor execution from top to bottom. And it started off early in the football game. When you look at this Texas offense, they were completely out of sync. They weren't getting the job done. Drop passes by the receivers, not protecting the quarterback. I thought that was key in this football game. They were sloppy from the start. And in the first half, they only scored 6 points. I think that cost them in the game. If they were able to execute better in the first half, they could have put this game away, or at least in the fourth quarter wouldn't have been as close as it is.
What do you think it does? We talked all week about this was the potential for a credibility-building win for Texas Tech. They've been the program with the explosive offense and the eccentric and quirky coach, but not the program that's going to win a game like this and be a national championship contender. What does a win like this do for a program?
Well, I felt that this was a different Texas Tech team than what we had talked about. Number one, they played better defense. We said the one thing they'd have to do, they'd have to be able to slow down the run. They held Texas to 80 yards rushing the whole game, and only in the fourth quarter did Texas start running the football. Number two, they got their 15th interception against Colt McCoy. They also recovered a fumble. Other than the blown assignment where they gave up the 90-yard touchdown pass, up until then, they had done a great job on Texas. After that, in the punt return, it all went downhill.
I have to say something about Ruffin McNeil, the defensive coordinator from Texas. He put He put a great defensive game plan together. What they were able to do early is put pressure on Colt McCoy, knock him around, and sack him. But the defensive secondary did a phenomenal job of staying with the Texas wide receivers and putting pressure on them. And the bottom line for Texas Tech, they're not going to be Texas's little brother for a full year.
And you know what? Don't need to let this slip by. Texas Tech out-rushing Texas. They did some good work on the ground that really helped them, helped take some of the pressure off the passing game. But now Texas has run this gauntlet, this 4-week unbelievable marquee game gauntlet. They're finished at 3-1. Texas Tech's just now sort of getting started on their run. As you look at the rest of their schedule, hey, they've got the Pokes coming in next. That's not going to be easy. Then they'll have a week off before they have to go to Norman and potentially the Big 12 championship game if they can navigate their way through the remaining schedule, which now toughens up for Leach's team. Much more on this game. Much more from Lubbock. We'll also discuss whether Texas Tech deserves to be in the top.
Graham Harrell, enough time. This is the play that will live in infamy as far as the fans here in Lubbock are concerned. Crabtree, the best receiver in all of college football. When a game's on the line, he had to make a play. One-on-one coverage against Curtis Brown. He adjusts to the football, uses his strength, and walks into the end zone for, at this point in college football, the scene of the year.
And when the game was over, Lisa Salters caught up with the quarterback and the wide receiver.
Thanks, Brent. Graham, I'm going to start with you first. Take me through that touchdown play, the game-winning play. What happened?
They try to man-up Crab. There's not anyone in the country that can man-up Crab. And I saw, the guy wasn't looking. I threw it behind him where he didn't see the ball. Crab makes a play. He's the best in the country. There's no doubt about it.
What were you thinking when you looked up 129 left to go and you guys are down?
We're going to win the game. You know what I mean? You left us too much time. With this offense, we know we can score in a hurry. Minute 29 is way too much time for us, and I believe.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations. Michael, same question. Describe that touchdown for me. Describe that touchdown for me.
Oh, man, I don't want to say nothing, but I dreamed it the same way. It's crazy.
No, you did.
I dreamed in my head. I said, but you know how you do it every play you dream? But it really happened. So, I mean, it was great, man.
And when you looked up on the clock and saw 129 left and you were down, what were you thinking?
I was thinking we got to do our job. We got to go out there and score. If not, get in field goal range so we get Matt to kick it. But, I mean, I guess I took it in.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Now, Jared Edwards with your Fox 34 Sports Overtime.
So Harold in the shotgun.
from the 28 to throw. Goes to the right side for Crabtree. It's caught. He might scores! Red Raider! Michael Crabtree has done it! Let's see what they do. Corona with the squib kick. It bounces, and it's recovered and carried at the 40. They're going to start throwing it around. Tech's got the football. They're on board. It is over. Red Raiders have defeated the #1 ranked team in the country, 39-33.
Welcome back. If you're a Red Raider football fan, you're probably going to be smiling from ear to ear until probably next Saturday night. Texas Tech beat a #1 team in the country for the first time in program history last night. They had been 0 for 7. It was also the 500th win in program history. And you know what? This week's game, even bigger. We're going to do it all over again this coming week as the scenario replays itself with staying unbeaten, at least for one more night, though. Before we move on to the Cowboys, we can enjoy this program's finest moment. With more, here's Drew Doherty.
Thank you so much, Jared. On a night when Texas Tech upends top-ranked and undefeated Texas, Coach Leach very, very happy with what happened afterwards, despite having to finish the game by kicking off at his own 7-yard line.
They did a heck of a job. I mean, you got a crowd that, you know, that plays on the edge and stuff like that. Sometimes maybe you have to kick it on a 7-yard line. I can't say enough about our fans. This is like, I've said, Jones Stadium's the best place to play. Tonight even more so. This was just an incredible crowd, you know, the whole night.
And with that final play from scrimmage when Harrell finds Crabtree for the game-winning touchdown, Leach reminded some of the national writers who were here that Harrell definitely belongs in Heisman consideration.
Graham did a tremendous job holding it together. I think, you know, that's pretty clear. Some of you guys maybe ought to add him to your Heisman list if, you know, if you're going to mess around with that stuff. I realize how political it is, and typically I save my words on this because I find them to be kind of a waste of time, but those that don't have him on the list probably ought to put him on, I would think.
As a quarterback, that's what you live for. You know, a chance to bring your team back down the stretch against a great team. And, you know, I knew all we needed was a field goal, but a touchdown's even sweeter. But, you know, I mean, if you're a quarterback and you don't want to be in that situation, you should probably change positions.
On the sideline, I kind of like dreamed that I would catch a pass and go in the end zone for a game-winning touchdown. But, I mean, I do that like every game, but, I mean, if it happened.
This win doesn't matter if we don't win next week, so it's sweet and we're going to enjoy it, but we got to come back and ready to work.
It doesn't get too much easier now for Texas Tech. A very good top 10 ranked Oklahoma State team comes to the Jones next Saturday night. It'll be at 7 p.m. again on national television from Jones AT&T Stadium after the win over the Longhorns. Drew Doherty, Fox 34 Sports.
Drew, thanks. The new BCS standings out on Fox 34 tonight. And look at #2. Texas Tech moving up 5 spots after beating the Longhorns. Texas down 3 spots to #4. Tech's next opponent, Oklahoma State. They stayed at #9 this week. Now, this week could be really, really exciting. Alabama plays #16 LSU in Baton Rouge. So that's a game they could very easily lose. If that does happen, and Tech beats OSU, your Red Raiders could be the #1 team in the country. Not that it really matters at this point of the season, but still pretty amazing. Tech right now a program best #2 in the AP poll, 3rd in the coaches poll. So that sets up this matchup, #9 versus #2. Tech played #1 last week. They get the Cowboys this week again at home. And again, prime time, 7 o'clock kick from Jones AT&T Stadium. OSU has not won in Lubbock since 1944 when Oklahoma State was Oklahoma A&M University. Texas Tech opens as a 3.5-point favorite. Well, we're going to take a quick timeout. Still to come tonight. Welcome back to the show. In case you missed it earlier in the show, your Texas Tech Red Raiders are 2nd in the latest bowl championship standings. It's the highest ever ranking in program history. They moved up 5 spots after upsetting Texas on Saturday night. Up next, a very good Oklahoma State team that is now ranked 9th in the BCS. For that, though, let's continue to celebrate the school's 500th win. To do so, turn things over to the Tech Talk boys, Robert Giovanetti and Chris Level.
All right, well, I don't even know, you said it earlier, where do we start after this? All the hype, all the publicity, and the game lives up to everything, and the Red Raiders come out on top.
Yeah, I don't know where you start. I mean, I don't know what you point out other than the very end of this thing. And, you know, I'll tell you what, this team is different, this Texas Tech team, because you almost saw 2006 all over again, and you almost saw them, you know, blow it, but they didn't. They earned respect tonight, I think, nationally. They reached out, and Michael Crabtree grabbed it and got into the end zone and set this place into just absolute pandemonium. And arguably, I think you could make the argument this is one of the best football games played in a long, long time.
You know, I think the sentiment was when UT scored late, they left too much time on the clock. Red Raiders kind of just methodically marched down there, but still it takes a huge play between Graham and Crabtree, and that's the reason those two guys are in all the Heisman talk.
That's exactly right. And, you know, leading up to that point, it's frustrating to see the defense give up a drive like that. They had no answer for Texas at that point, but you know what? They had done more than enough to win you this football game. Speaking of the defense, they made plays. They were sacking Colt McCoy. They get a turnover, get you some points. You just offensively couldn't get anything going until the very last play. You know, somebody asked, you know, Michael Crabtree and Graham Harrell both, do you guys play for the best team in the country? And, you know, and neither one of them said as much because I think they're being humble, but it's interesting that they're being asked that question now. Think about it.
By national guys, two national writers asking.
You can argue that the #1 team in the country is right here in Lubbock, Texas. They do not have a loss on their resume. They just knocked off #1. And there were times when they simply dominated the University of Texas.
Hey, we talked a lot about turnovers, how important they would be. Crabtree does have the fumble that kind of hurts you in the first half. They get a field goal. But how about the Charbonnet interception for a touchdown?
I mean, Johnny on the spot. I mean, we've said it, you know, and that's what Ruffin McNeil has instilled in these guys. I don't know if he's coaching it any different, but they sure are creating more turnovers this year. Daniel Charbonnet and Darcel McBath, was got to be one of the top safety tandems in the country, because McBath comes off a weekend last week when he gets 3 interceptions in a quarter, and then you turn right around and Charbonnet. And everyone talked about the defensive line of Texas was going to dictate this game, and Brian Arakpo and Roy Miller, neither one of those guys finished this game, but it was Texas Tech's defensive line that, for the most part, you know, was the one that was dominating this football game.
Well, one down, still a lot more on the way. Got Oklahoma State, 7 o'clock, right here at Jones Stadium again next week. Back to you, Jim.
Welcome back. We are out of time. Enjoy your Red Raiders being 9-0. Red Raider football. Mike Leach coming up right after the plays of the week. Enjoy them, and we'll see you back here next weekend, everybody.